So you'll enter after the news if there's a drawdown, correct? How soon how soon after the news? Will you wait for a candle to form, the first news candle to form? Or will you go right in if the news supports you? Okay. One tick above, right? Yeah. See, we have a problem today. Not you, but we. Because we use AMP, we can't trade the right contract this morning. I have to trade, if I'm going to trade, I have to trade the lower volume contract, which happened to work the last time, but I don't like trading incorrectly. You know, what I feel is incorrectly. There's enough trades where you know, there'll be another trade next week. All right, folks, let's get started. Welcome to the 10-Minute Trades Trade Room, the CL Storage Report. And we were talking before we got into the room. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember all trades are for educational purposes, and it is possible to lose money trading futures. So what we were talking about is normally today we look at the volume and we trade the instrument that has the highest volume. Let me just get my charts set up and get my news going. But our clearing broker is AMP. It's not NinjaTrader, okay? Because we were grandfathered into AMP years ago because we originally had a NinjaTrader account before NinjaTrader was a broker. That's why our clearing broker is AMP, not Dorman, not Phillips. So we use the NinjaTrader platform, obviously, but we're not cleared by the brokers that most of you are cleared by. And that's not usually good nor bad. It's just different broker. Doesn't usually make a difference. In this particular case today, though, about a year ago, and I'm not exactly positive what the exact date was, but approximately a year ago, during the crisis, it was at the beginning of the crisis, oil futures went negative. AMP, when that happened, something happened at AMP. For weeks, they would not even let you trade oil after that took place. There's no question. They will not admit it. I've tried to call them out on it. Tried to talk to them. They won't admit that anything happened. They will admit that they changed all their risk tolerance when that happened. It was quite dramatic. Oil went below zero, the future. I've never seen that happen. Some people said it had happened before. I'd never seen it happen. But since that happened, AMP will not let you trade the current oil futures contract 5 days before rollover or less. It's now 1 day. And even though if you normally, when you trade events like we do, we look at volume and we double check that the volume on the instrument that we're trading has the highest volume. So if you look at oil today, the current contract is CL5. The future contract is CL6. And it's quite a big difference in volume. It's a big enough difference in volume that I don't like it, to be honest. Now, 93,000 is a lot of volume. It's enough volume to trade. And I looked at the liquidity also of both instruments, and I've seen worse. In other words, so the 5 contract has more volume. I cannot trade the 5 contract. The broker will not allow us to. I've already tested. I cannot trade it. Fred, that means you can't trade it too. Hey, Fred, I had a very quick question. On the 30-second chart, what's your momentum set to on the squeeze for oil on the 30-second chart? Are you using 12 or 10? I forgot. I was just curious. Yeah, I've been testing 10. But I was going to show you the liquidity. Where's my other? Sure, I had 2 domes. Did I close one of them out? Maybe I did. So if you look at the liquidity, CL5 is on the left, CL6 is on the right, and CL5 is they're close. CL5 is a little better. CL5 is a little better. I think probably either contract can be traded. That's the truth. I'd rather trade 5, but I think, and I certainly wouldn't. Yeah, there's enough volume, Fred, that you can trade 06. There's almost 100,000 volume. So I wouldn't use today to add lots of contracts. It wouldn't be a day I would do anything out of the ordinary. But it's aggravating, nevertheless. The DMM, I'm sure, is going to say 5 is the contract to trade, because my boss doesn't know about this AMP thing, and I have to tell him about it. So he makes a note on the DMM for AMP customers. You won't lose money. It just won't let you trade. It stops the trade from taking place. But for NinjaTrader brokerage customers, you can trade CL 521. I'm going to trade 621. I'm going to go for my 10 ticks. You could see, you could take oil off if you want. It's not trading well. I mean, that's the truth. Oil is not trading well. This might not be a bad week to take it off. It's had 3 stops in a row in March, and it's got 4 out of 6 stops. It's not trading well. You don't have to trade it today. Okay. Oil has changed. There's no question. The Wednesday oil has changed. It was a pretty easy trade for quite a few months. And it has definitely become a more difficult trade. Hey, good morning, Mike. So for me, given the fact that I can't even trade the contract I want to trade, I mean, we honestly don't know if oil is back to trading well or not. The reason we don't know is it looked like it was starting to trade well again because the 24th and the 34th and the 31st were winners. And let's look at last week and see what happened. So that was April. Did I hide that report somewhere? I didn't file that video, I don't think. So, you know what I can do? Let me look in one more place. I have it. So this was last week's oil. And it was a stop. I'm almost positive it was. That's my memory. So it filled and then it reversed. Nothing you can do about that. And it was a shame because it was a good drawdown. It should have just shot up. That's the truth. It should have just shot up. Because there was much more oil used than expected. But unfortunately, it moved the wrong way. And that's one of the issues that we're having with oil. It's not behaving. It's not behaving. I want to look at volume one more time. I want to look at 317. 317 says stop question mark. Let's take a look and see what happened on 317. Yeah, if you're going for, yeah, it didn't hit, it certainly didn't hit a 10 tick target. I mean, it just barely, I suppose. 29 was your entry. Now it's a stop. That was a stop. It did not, it certainly didn't hit my 10 tick target. It was a stop in the room. There's no denying that. So I'm not trying to scare you off of oil. I'm just, let's be honest. It's not trading great. You want to know the truth. I have to tell you the truth. I don't have to trade it if I don't want to. I can do whatever I want. If something's not trading well, I take off. I don't need it. Right? But if you look at the last 3 weeks, you've got 2 out of 3 winners. So maybe oil is starting to trade better. That's what you don't know. I want to look at the volume one more time. On my little volume template. daily volume is what I'm looking at. CL6, CL5. It's about the same as it was before. And in fact, 5 is a little bit higher, if anything. But 97,000 contracts is plenty to get a decent trade if there's a good offset. The key is you want a good offset. But what we've been seeing with oil is even with good offsets, it hasn't been trading that great. So, I really should follow the rules. The rules are, right now we're 4 out of 6 losers. 4 out of 6 losers. Volumes against me today. I really should take this week and let it pass. Fred, now I'm just curious. You're a pretty careful trader. What are you going to do? I know how important. Okay, right. Trade the signal after the news. Interesting choice. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Today is an uptrend day in oil. Oil is up 130 ticks, right? Decisions are so difficult. Trading decisions. I really was concerned that oil was going to not let me trade the contract I wanted to trade today. Because when I looked at the API yesterday, I knew the volume was not going to overtake. I knew the contracts wouldn't overtake each other. And I'm surprised they let us trade 5 yesterday. Fred, if you think about it, it was 2 days to roll over, but they let us trade 5 yesterday. So that kind of made no sense. Maybe there's an error in the calculation of the rollover. That's the only thing I can think of. Exactly. I was surprised we were able to trade 5 yesterday also. So the rest of this week is filled with quite a bit of difficulty. I don't want to lie and make things up. There's quite a bit of difficulty for the rest of the week. Other than natural gas, which I generally like. And I generally like oil. So it stopped last week. I'm going to trade my one contract. If I get stopped, I get stopped. There's nothing I can do about it. We want to know if oil's back or if it's still a big problem. I'm looking for 10 ticks. My stop is 12. And the entry time is 10, 29, 58. I labeled the trade the CL report. I'm recording it. So one more time, my setup is a bracket of 10, one contract for 10 ticks. I'm just going in the middle of the two targets. A stop of 12 and an entry time of 10:29.58. It's a breakout trade. That's my setup. Bracket is 10, David. Let's check our sync. Yes. David, yes. Am I trading it? Maybe. Checking my time sync, time.is. Let's look at another oil report. So oil's making new highs. Both contracts making new highs, 5 and 6. Let me just look at one thing real quick. March 31st was a winner. It was a little bit, not really slow, but it popped up. And then I remember March 24th, it scared me out of the trade. It moved early, quite a bit. Watch that candle. It jolts up. And that's a move that makes me cancel oil. It's a little bit big, but the report still worked that day. It just shot down and hit the first target because people traded it. They got their first target hit at least. But normally when you get that kind of a move right before the report, you should not trade. It's a sign to cancel. It's just a safety sign. It's a sign to not trade it. So one of the reasons I'm saying that this week is a difficult week, tomorrow morning is retail is trading with so many reports. Retail, Philly Fed, Empire State Manufacturing, and Thursday jobless claims. It's really almost impossible to take that trade. I mean, you could get all the news to agree and have a good trade, but the chances of that happening are not great, right? All those reports agreeing, getting all those reports to come out at the same time is part of the problem these days. So that's a very difficult decision. The beige book hasn't been behaving with our current setup. We have a new setup, so it's a question of trading or testing on beige book. You know, we've done a fair amount of testing over the last couple of months, and I'm hoping that we're starting to see the fruit of our labors. It takes more than a month to come up with a new setup, and that's one of the things that we're always dealing with that is hard. If a setup is not working or an instrument becomes difficult, you can't just, it's hard to just automatically make a change because we're basing our trading on event behavior over a certain period of time, right? Not over 1 month. So it makes it extremely tricky to change indexes. That's why I like to test at least once on live market data if I make a change to an index. Now, we don't always do that because sometimes the testing is so good, you're willing to take a shot. But that usually means it's also a report that moves very well also. Some of the hardest reports to trade are the reports that don't move that well. We've got a bunch of them this week. And they haven't been trading well, quite a few of them. You know, building permit, or because of the world crisis, they have not been trading by themselves like they used to. So you don't have any testing. You don't have current testing. That's a secondary problem. You know, it's not just jump in, jump out, trade everything. There's a lot to take into account. And that's why I always stress practice, practice, practice. Make it your own, you know, learn to look at previous reports. Because there's sometimes it seems like magic. And then sometimes it seems like agony, right? So oil made new highs and pulled back off the high. They're expecting a drawdown. Which is what I would expect. More oil being used than expected. But we never know. You know, that's the crazy thing about all this stuff. You can think about what a report might be, but you never know. It's impossible to know. I really thought the job numbers last week were going to be a certain way, and they were the opposite of what I thought. That doesn't make me stupid. It's got about 20 seconds. If it's not going to hit my target, I'll let it stop me out for a tick. Now that stopped me out flat. Okay. It stopped me out flat. Oil is just not respond. Now, maybe I moved my stop too soon. It would have hit my target if I didn't move my stop. Okay. It would have hit my target if I did not move my stop. That was a winner. But because of the way oil's been trading, 4 out of 6 losers, I was paranoid. That's the truth. It would have hit my target. It would have hit the target. So my fear, I was 1 tick above entry, and that 1 tick of slippage got me out flat. That's too bad. And it is responding properly today. It is responding properly. So really, it was my worry that it wasn't going to react well that cost me. That's what cost me today. That was a good trade. That trade worked fine. YouTube folks, we're all human here. If you like learning, sign up and hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're going to be here streaming. And I'll see everybody on YouTube tomorrow. We'll be streaming tomorrow as well. Yeah, it's holding strong because, Mark, look at the drawdown. It was huge. The drawdown was huge. I would be very careful on any reversals on this. It's a very big drawdown. Very nice, Mark. I was thinking of trading your way. That's the truth. But where did you enter? The question is, how soon after did you enter? When the candle retraced? Let me show you the video. I'm just curious when you got in. Let me show you the video. Because it makes sense when you have that big of a drawdown. So here's the video. Give me 1 second just to find it. Now, I just got out too soon, which I always do. That's my big issue with trading is I'm always jumping out too soon. So, Mark, I'm just curious. I think I know where you got in. So, if I was trading your method, so the news is not out yet. Now the news is out. So I'm interested in going long. I'd go long somewhere around there. Somewhere in this area now. I mean, that's the only time. I don't know when else you could have gotten in. You had to get in somewhere around 83. See, I don't see how you could have gotten in at 66. You don't know that the news is out yet. And how far back does it pull back? Okay, that makes a lot more sense. 79. That I agree with. 79, I agree with. Because if you watch how it pulled back, did you wait for the news result? Did you wait for the news result? Okay, so that's what I would have done also. You got to wait for that news result if you're trading Mark's way. So you can't get in yet. You can't get in yet. You can't get in yet. Now you can think about getting in right here, right around there. I mean, it looks like it's holding, so you get in somewhere around there. He wound up getting in 80, 79, which makes sense. I might have been a little bit higher, 82. And what's your first target? At what point? Where do you move your stop to break even? That's critical. That's critical in this type of trade. Where do you protect yourself? What's target one? I would probably take about 10 ticks. You protect yourself when you get 15 ticks. Now, I can kind of show you. I think I can show everybody. If you want to take a minute. So if you download today's oil data, right, go to historical data, market replay, load it. Now, you were trading a different contract, but I have to show it on the contract. I'm going to show it on the contract I was trading. 6/21, and the date is the 14th. And I'm downloading the data. And I've never traded the way Mark trades this. So let me show you what I think he did. So Mark, you can correct me if you think I'm doing this wrong. So the first thing I have to do is disconnect live and connect playback. Okay, I'm going to play back the trade. And I'm going to go to 4/14 on the date. And then I'm going to go to 10/29. .54, and Ninja Trader is going to reset itself to 0, and I'm going to have to enter the time back in because there's a bug in Ninja Trader replay. And today it didn't. Okay, so I'm at 10/29.54, and the strategy that Mark is using is the squeeze play strategy with one tick above the range, one tick below the range, and the look back should be 1. Am I correct on those, Mark? That's the big question. And what I would do is I would probably go for 10 ticks. And then you want to leave your other target. You almost want to leave it open. So let's say 40 ticks. And I would use a stop probably of 15-ish. So here's what I believe he's doing. So when you choose the squeeze play and you enable it, you get all these buttons. Your trend is long on gold. Remember, on oil, the trend was up over 100 ticks. So you're only going to click the one-click range long button, okay? So just watch. So at 10:30, you know you're going to go long, all right? I want an arrow so it's easier. So I'm turning off my crosshair. I'm only going long. I have no interest in going short. The key is getting in the right place. So you have to wait for the news to come out, right? So here's the report. Let's see if it's working properly. It doesn't quite look like it's working properly. It doesn't look like the trade, to be honest. So maybe it's because the data, because it's not backing up. So it gets up. When it backs down somewhere around 80, it looks so much slower than it took place in real time. So it really doesn't look like the replay is trading the same way, to be honest. It's because it's not pulling back. So it honestly does not look like the right data. It's almost as if the replay server doesn't have the right playback. So I can't show it properly. Let me back up. I can just try and back up a little bit. Let me just try the replay one more time. The date is correct, 4/14. 10:29:50 is the time I'm looking at here. Okay. I know I'm only going to go long. So, but the trade, here's the chart. It just doesn't look like the same. There's the movement. Okay. See, we don't have the news to help us. That's where he would put his order and he'd let the price come to him. When it pulls back, you could pull this down a little bit if you wanted to. Whoops. It'll pull me in. And then it's going to hit my first target. And it's going to keep going up. Because it gets to R3. Now, if you hit your first target, you want to protect yourself by moving your stop to break even. That way, whatever happens now, you've got money in the bank. So let me show you that one more time because I did not execute that well. Let's go back to 10:29. And unfortunately, you know, we don't have the luxury of seeing the news work without coming out like we do if it was a real trade. So we have the movement. We know we're going long because oil is trending long all morning, or at least at the time we got in the room, it was a big trend up. There's the pop-up. There's our rough shoot down right around there, okay? So you can move it down a little because my entry was not where it should have been. You know you want to go long because the news is negative 5 million. You hit your first target, move your stop to break even. Completely different way to trade. Mark, did I get that pretty close? Okay. So, I mean, that's just a completely different method of trade. I mean, that's how he trades oil. Now, you trade other things differently from my understanding and talking to you. If you have to go, Mark, go ahead, and we'll talk about it another time. But that's, I would assume that you do the same thing for natural gas, or no? Is this oil? Everything news related. So you will not trade if there's not a strong trend. Is that true? Ah, okay. You don't trade natural gas. You don't trade if there's not a strong trend? Or what do you do if there's no trend? No trend, no trade. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. Interesting lesson, folks. Okay. It's just an alternative. Very, very interesting way to trade. Easy to do it after the trade. I know that. We knew it was going up. We knew it was going up. It's definitely a method. You don't want to do it live without practicing. You must practice. These are the things you got to practice, right? These are the things you got to practice. Okay. Chantal, are you still here? You can shut down YouTube. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Sign up for our channel if you would, and hit that notification bell so you know when we're here again. All right, folks. I'll see everybody at 1:30.